Behind the sheen and glitz of Hollywood fame is a hidden world seldom seen by adoring audiences. Publicists carefully shape flawless images and issue carefully worded statements to keep up appearances, while the private realities about some of the entertainment world's most adored heroes reveal quite another tale. For decades, the entertainment world has shielded its stars, preserving their reputations while keeping in the dark, disturbing realities behind closed doors. Now, we lift that delicately crafted veil to expose the appalling private lives of celebrities whose smooth public images were in stark contrast to their secret lifestyles. From golden era myths to contemporary celebrities detested by peers, all of these stories will leave you forever seeing these celebrity icons differently. What makes the revelations so sinister is not only what the celebrities were doing, but how they were able to keep up their pristine public images when they lived astoundingly dark lives behind the scenes. The showy fabrications, the trade cover-ups, and the code of silence that protected them beg a discomfiting question. How much of Hollywood has ever been a deceit? If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Our first case transports us to America's Christmas symbol, Bing Crosby. Each holiday season, Crosby's smooth voice loaded houses with the retro comfort of white Christmas. His relaxed manner and affable smile sent out the persona of a benevolent father figure, the very essence of mid-century wholesome goodness. But within the walls of the Crosby compound, not everything was jolly. In a memoir, his oldest son, Gary, gave an account of a home dominated by fear. The belt was Bing's instrument of discipline. His children were weighed every week and beaten if they gained so much as 1 pound. They were forced to address him as Sir, salute when he appeared in the room, and grow up under a regime of rules that were military in style and left deep psychological wounds. In public, Bing was the chipper family man hosting Christmas specials with his children, but those shows were all performances. Studio bosses labored to quell rumors of his violence, building one of the first and most successful of Hollywood's image machines. While America welcomed Bing into their living rooms as the ideal father, his actual children cowered in fear. The saddest fact of the Crosby family horror is how easily the public accepted the fantasy while the horror was hidden. Another Hollywood behemoth with a horribly sordid secret life was Charlie Chaplin. His little tramp persona was the epitome of innocence and wide-eyed wonder, an international metaphor for vulnerability and humor. But the actual Chaplin had a horrifying type that, in our time, would have killed his career on the spot. He again and again chased girls not much out of childhood. At the age of 29, he married 16-year-old Mildred Harris. A few years after, he started dating 15-year-old Lita Gray, marrying her at age 16 when she became pregnant. Court papers during their acrimonious divorce revealed lurid details, including sexual requests that were degrading even by the more permissive moral codes of the 1920s. Studios paid huge amounts to cover up the worst details, treating Chaplin's exploitation as a regrettable price for keeping a genius. The cycle was repeated with one affair after another with vulnerable young women, a paternity scandal involving actress Joan Barry being one of them. While blood tests confirmed Chaplin to be not her child's father, the courts nonetheless made him pay support, his reputation by this time so tainted that even the law no longer accorded him the benefit of the doubt. The unpleasant truth persists, as audiences acclaim Chaplin a figure of innocence. The man beneath the tramp exploited vulnerable girls for decades in a methodical way. There was Marlon Brando, a genius whose off-screen life unfolded into tragedy. On screen, he created raw, exposed power that transformed acting. Off-screen, his personal life was a Greek tragedy. He fathered 11 children by a number of different women, yet by all accounts was a distant, neglectful father. His son Christian, given no limits, fell into addiction and violence, ending up shooting and murdering his half-sister's boyfriend in 1990. His daughter Cheyenne, traumatized by the murder and already fragile mentally, hung herself just 5 years later. Brando publicly confessed toward the end of his life that he had been a failure as a father, and friends of the family spoke of a household that was full of money but without order or stability. The actor who was somehow able to tap deep emotional truths and use them in his performances was unable to apply the same attention to his own children, and the results were tragic. Judy Garland's tale is the most tragic of all. To millions, she was bright-eyed Dorothy Gale, warbling about dreams above the rainbow. In truth, she was a kid victim of one of the most exploitative studio systems ever. MGM executives started dosing her with amphetamines at 13 to keep her thin and awake during exhaustive shooting schedules. At night, they gave her barbiturates to put her to sleep. She was mocked for her physique, dubbed the Little Hunchback, and relentlessly driven toward an unnatural ideal. At 18, she was hooked, her life a revolving cycle of pills, fatigue, and hopelessness. There were several attempts at suicide, followed by breakdowns, but the machine had a use for her, and so the pills continued. When she overdosed on drugs at age 47, the world wept for what appeared to be a tragic mistake. But those in the know realized that her death was ordained the day executives chose to see a child's welfare sacrificed for dollars. Rock Hudson was an example of another type of deception. To 1950s women, he was the ultimate matinee idol, a strapping masculine romantic hero. In private, however, Hudson lived in terror. He was a gay man terrorized into hiding when homosexuality was illegal. Universal Studios stage-managed phony romances, seeded magazine covers, and even had him marry off in a mock wedding to his agent's secretary to stem the rumors. Friends later admitted he never did unwind, always on guard against discovery. The bitter irony was that his truth only came out through tragedy. In 1985, Hudson died, one of the first major stars from AIDS. His passing dispelled the fantasy of Hollywood's eligible bachelor and compelled a cultural wake-up call with regard to both AIDS and the price paid when people are made to conceal what they are. Loretta Young's was a different kind of secret, born not of cruelty, but of impossible decisions in an unforgiving time. A star for her roles as virtuous heroines, Young found herself pregnant in 1935 after romance with Clark Gable, who was already married. Aware that a public scandal would ruin her career, she vanished from the public eye, bore her child in secret, and 19 months later adopted her own daughter through a Catholic orphanage, bringing her up as if she were not her natural child. The charade was heavy, particularly as the girl shared Gable's characteristic features. Young even had cosmetic surgery performed on her daughter's ears to reduce the resemblance. The reality was kept concealed until her daughter cornered her as an adult. It was a survival tactic, but also a lifelong secret. One additional reminder of the ways in which women in Hollywood were pushed into agonizing deceptions in order to safeguard their careers. Errol Flynn, the silver screen swashbuckling heartthrob, was another of Hollywood's stars with a darker half. Best known for starring roles in Robin Hood and Captain Blood, Flynn was indicted on a charge of statutory rape in 1942 when two teenage girls accused him. Although acquitted, the trial substantiated rumors that Flynn had a taste for very young women. His latter years were spent in alcoholism, out-of-control yacht parties, and brutality. His handsome face and athletic physique were blunted by addiction. When he died at 50, his body was that of an old man. The heroic figure on screen had long since been tarnished by the self-destroying chaos of his off-screen life. Mary Astor, who is recalled for her superb performance in The Maltese Falcon, was confronted with a different type of scandal. Her ex-husband threatened to reveal her personal diary in 1936 at a vicious custody battle. Written in purple ink, the diary included startlingly candid descriptions of her sex lives with influential men, including playwright George S. Kaufman. Newspapers splashed salacious quotes across front pages, and her image as Hollywood's elegant lady came very close to falling apart. Although eventually ruled inadmissible by a court, the damage was already done. Studios had thought about dropping contracts, and she was saved only because director William Wyler insisted on not letting her go. The double standard was stark. Male stars could brag about affairs without penalty, while Astor almost lost everything for exercising the same freedoms. Jerry Lewis personified another paradox. To America, he was a clown and a humanitarian, raising billions of dollars for Jerry's kids through his telethons. To his own children, though he was cold, cruel, and emotionally absent, his 6 sons wrote of growing up with harsh, unloving rules, punished for mistakes, while their father showered attention on the children he raised money for on TV. Worse still, Lewis reportedly fathered an illegitimate daughter, Susan, in an affair whom he would not meet or provide for. When he passed away in 2017, he disowned all his natural sons, leaving his wealth to his second wife and their adopted daughter alone. For a man who made his career on attending to children, his personal brutality shamed him forever. Gene Tierney's tragedy was the result of nearly unimaginable bad luck. In 1943, pregnant, she worked at the Hollywood canteen in defiance of warnings of a rubella epidemic. She caught the disease from a fan who defied quarantine to see her. Her daughter was born blind, deaf, and severely impaired. Years afterwards, the same fan went up to Tierney once more and matter-of-factly confessed she had gone to the event with an illness. The news devastated Tierney, who plunged into Black Depression's numerous hospitalizations and vicious electroshock therapies that ravaged her memory. Although she was able to rebuild her life, eventually, the cold capriciousness of one fan's selfish choice haunted her for life. Dennis Hopper's dark side wasn't due to secrets, but volatility. A masterful actor in Easy Rider and Blue Velvet, off-screen Hopper's life was an extended blur of drugs, paranoia, and violence. On set, he toted loaded pistols, shot them on camera, and frightened crews with his erratic behavior. At the height of his addiction, he used half a gallon of rum, dozens of beers, and grams of cocaine per day. His paranoia manifested as abusive relationships, such as handcuffing his wife Michelle Phillips during their short 8-day marriage. Although he eventually sobered up and re-established his career, people who knew him during the 1970s recalled him as explosively unstable, a genius, but one who could blow at any minute. Even modern-day stars are not exempt from secret reputations. Ben Stiller, whose gangly, self-deprecating comedies endeared him to the world, has been characterized by crew members as among Hollywood's most unpleasant to work with. Industry professionals assert his perfectionism bleeds into cruelty, with assistants being berated for small errors, crew being disrespected, and sudden outbursts leading to poisoned working conditions. He reportedly acquired the nickname the Antichrist on sets. Though audiences viewed him as the underdog, those working behind the scenes painted a picture of a man with contempt for all but himself.